everybody, welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com, as well as the Speakeasy podcast. And this time I'm looking at Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches, Chapter 102, See What His Real Intentions Are. And I really like this chapter in the fact that it did both of the things I really wanted to see. I did want to see how Yamada was dealing with Sarashi after meeting and helping the first witch, but I also wanted to see who the next witches were. So they kind of nicely blended both of those desires into one chapter and really let both of them get the amount of screen time that they needed. I mean, most of the chapters devoted to Sarashi, but we didn't need to spend too much time on that. So it taking up about 80% of the chapter was good, because it's good that got, that whole him wondering what her feelings are about the whole thing deserved about that much amount of time. Any more than that and it would seem overdone, but any less than that and wouldn't feel resolved, and then I have to go back to it. But I feel this really kind of solidifies it and lets the audience know and lets both characters know how they feel, so that we can move on from here. But it also has enough time for the two new characters, the new witch and her boyfriend, to, definitely intrigue the audience, give them a sense of, ooh, I want to know what these guys are doing, but still gives them a lot of mystery and, excitement for the next chapter. I feel like really well balanced. And we start off with these two punk kids named Sid and Nancy, and I don't mean like the normal punk, like, Yankee-style delinquents or anything like that. Nope. These are punks. This name's Sid and Nancy after, that's, the famous movie about the guitarist of the Sex Pistols and his girlfriend. So Sid and Nancy, actual punks, like, the god-darned Sex Pistols. So, I mean, not that Japan totally doesn't have any kind of punk influences. I mean, Nana from, the manga Nana, is clearly enough obviously influenced by, British punks and, punk rock girls. So it's not like totally unknown. But we usually see Japanese-style punks and delinquents. These are very obviously, British-style punks, which is, definitely a fun little twist on what we normally get. So, and obviously, Nancy there is a witch, and they seem to know quite a bit about the witches. They definitely know that Yamada has the witch, the ability to take other witches' powers, and that he helps Tsubasa on the basketball team. So they're generally well informed. Now, I'm kind of curious if someone gave them this information or they discovered it on their own. Because if someone gave them that information, it might be the Shogi Club. But if they just discovered it on their own, well, they're just a little smarter than the student council, huh? But once we've learned that they have their eyes set on Yamada, we go to Yamada himself, who is thankfully, and I know Kate will be happy to see that they're back in the Supernatural Club room. The two non-witch members are there, thankfully back in the game. And Yamada kind of opens up to them and tells them about the whole Tsubasa thing and everything that's gone on. And they're a little miffed, but happy that they're finally, part of it. And I'm glad, because now those two can finally be a part of finding witches and be back in the story again. Because, they could easily find another witch, especially those two. I think, they're probably going to be, someone to stumble upon a new witch. So, glad to see they can be, useful again. But Yamada feels that, Sarashi is really mad about the whole Tsubasa affair. And like, man, we all heard that story. Yeah, you better, win her back over. And so he's constantly trying to win her back over, and she seems, once again, it's that weird thing of Sarashi's so kind of reserved that Yamada is assuming that everything she says, he offers her, basically make up yakisoba bread, and she's like, oh, I don't need that. And he basically interprets this, I don't need that from you, betrayer. Well, she basically says it in her normal, I don't need that. That kind of curt, not necessarily mean, but Sarashi's never a character that comes off as mean, but she's never, except for in rare cases where she kind of lowers herself, or lowers her guard, I should say, not lowers herself. Lowers her guard does she, show like any kind of big emotion. And he's like, oh, should I rub your back? And she's like, my back is intense. You don't need to do that. And, basically the other two are like, oh, she let you touch her. Oh. And he's like, hey, can we hang over the weekend? And he's like, no. She's like, nah, crab school, man. And they're like, oh, she just wanted to even hang out with you. And he's like, can I walk you to cram school? And she's like, sure, that's fine. And, once again, we get Yamada's like, oh man, she is totally pissed. I'm going to totally explain what happened. And so she seems really interested, to find out what happened with the witches. And, eventually he kind of gets into it and, how much he really seriously wanted to help Tsubasa because the power was destroying her. And, at the end, once again, you kind of see the real Shirashi when she occasionally lets her guard down. And, we see her smiling and basically being really proud of Yamada for helping somebody out who was really hurting themselves. And, we kind of, and then it kind of all, and then she asks, if, now that he has another power, can, she kiss him? Can he kiss her? And he's like, oh, you're not mad? And she's like, once again, she considers this solved. That I'm not super happy with you kissing other girls, but I know you gotta do it. So, as long as you're not romancing them beyond that point, am I gonna be happy about it? No. I'd rather not my boyfriend kissing other people. But this is a weird situation, so, once again, as long as it isn't romantic, it's okay. And once again, we see that she's like, the reason I fell in love with you is because you want to help people, as bad as your reputation is. So, you're helping somebody. Also, I want to see how this power works. So, and I want to kiss you. So, let's put all these things together. And so, she's like, all right, I don't feel any different. Give me a command and see how it works. And, being the little playboy that he is, he gets, he orders her to kiss him again, and they do. And she's like, oh, making me kiss you again, that's not fair. You were supposed to do something funny. Make me act like a dog. But yeah, keep telling me about the witches. I want to hear about that kind of stuff. And once again, so we kind of got that out of the way. We know that, once again, what Sarashi said is true. and then Yamada shouldn't be worrying so much, so hopefully he won't be. And, we can just focus on him helping witches and them being a cute couple. And so, bing! And so, Sarashi goes off to cram school, and Yamada is walking on cloud nine, being like, alright, my girlfriend, is cool with this. She realizes that, she's the only girl for me. Alright. But then, bum bum bum! Yamada gets jumped by Sid and Nancy, who basically, are going to force Yamada to work with them, or else she's gonna wipe his memory. And Yamada's like, wait a minute, we already had a memory wiper. What's going on here? And I'm thinking either one of two things. Either one, her memory power works differently than, no panties girl. Either, maybe she can make people forget as many times as she wants, or something else like that. Or she has a different power, and then mean basically like, we're gonna bonk you on the head and make you, forget stuff. And, her actual power is something else. But, I generally think it's one of the two things. I don't think it's the exact same power. It's either, once again, it's basically the memory removal power with no limitations, or different limitations, or, they were being more, we're gonna beat the crap out of you, make you forget your memory, the standard, blow to the back of the head gives you amnesia. But we'll see what happens. I don't know, these characters are kind of fun antagonists. Once again, interesting to see British style punks in the manga. And I'm really kind of curious what their story is and what's going on with them. Once again, I also kind of wonder if Sid is also a witch killer. That would kind of make them a interesting power pair. But, he just, if nothing else, even if he doesn't have a power, he does look like a pretty strong delinquent, so I'm sure he's a pretty good fighter. And Nancy does not look like she's, some, shrieking violent, oh no, violence! How could I ever be a part of that? She looks like she'd, kick someone right in the solar plexus and spit on them. So, these two should be, definitely fun. They've definitely got a witch's power and crazy violence. So, looking forward to next chapter. See you in 103. Alright, bye-bye.